Hello, everyone. This is Jill from Calligraphy Chronicles, and I am here with Suzanne Cunningham. She is on the opposite end of the world from me right now, it feels like. But soon, Suzanne, we're going to be in the same room.
No, I'm so excited. I've never been to Canada before.
Not at all, hey?
No. I've only been outside of the US one time, and that was maybe, I don't know, close to 30 years ago. And I went to Ireland. It was so long ago, this is going to be like my first time all over again. So I'm very excited.
Yes. Are you now you're coming by yourself?
I am coming by myself.
How
Yep.
fun. We're going to have lots of fun.
I know. I'm looking forward to it.
But you know so many people that are coming.
I hope I do. Yes, I have seen lots of names that sound really familiar, and I'm hoping once I get up there, I know some of the attendees as well. So
yeah, I'm sure you do, because when every once in a while when I post something, they're like, "Oh, I'm so excited to see her," and so yeah, I know there's people coming who have taken classes from you, and I know there's people in the Calgary Guild who have taken classes with you that are excited to, like, even if they're not in your class here, I know they're excited to see you here. So
yes, me too. I'm excited.
So tell me, to start this, why did you start calligraphy? How did you end up here?
I started doing what I thought was calligraphy. Actually, I didn't even know that it was calligraphy, but I started doodling, I guess you could say, as a very young child. My mom was an artist who painted, and some of her paintings would have Old English lettering in them, and she would draw those and paint them in. And she had the Speedball textbook. It was the 19th edition. And so at night, I would sit there. I found that engrosser script page and absolutely fell in love with it. And so I would take either a pencil or like a ballpoint pen and try to copy the letters. And I didn't know that it was calligraphy. I'd never even heard of calligraphy before. I just knew that those were the most beautiful letters I had ever laid my eyes on. And so I think in the long run, it helped me to draw them with a pencil or a ballpoint pen, because I had to really study the letters and figure out, well, this part looks wide and this part looks skinny, and where does that happen on the letter? I didn't know I was making shades and hairlines. I didn't know any of the terminology. But in trying to replicate those letters, it made me really study them super closely with all the details about each letter, which I think greatly helped me in the long run later on when I did try to work the pointed pen.
Yeah. So when you worked on the Speedball textbook, was that especially poignant for you? Did it feel like you'd kind of come full circle?
Oh my gosh. Yes, you cannot imagine. What is so wild to me is that literally 2 days before I got the email, I was doing my morning devotion time. I always do that every day, and that's just how I start out my day. And I was just like, God, I appreciate you giving me calligraphy. I love it so much. And please give me more opportunities. And if it's something scary, just hold my hand and let me walk through the door and just do it. I kid you not, 2 days later, I got an email, and I almost emailed them back and asked if they sent it to me by mistake because I was like, I've never edited a book before. I don't even know what goes into that. Right. So if you are willing to, take me on in my ignorance, I am happy to help, because I thought, I can't say no. I just asked for this.
You asked for it.
I can't say no. I am required to say yes. Yep. So anyway, the whole experience could not have been any better. It was me and Sachin Shah and Carl Roars, and they were absolutely a dream to work with. And, I was just so thankful. And it was such a full circle moment for me, since I had started with that 19th edition from my mom. Yeah. And so she passed away this summer, will be 15 years ago. And so I was just like, I just feel like she's smiling down from heaven, and just, I've got her stamp of approval, and it was just a great experience all the way around.
I love that. I also love it when we pray for something and we're expecting it to kind of be a gift. And it's a little outside the realm of a gift, right? Like,
did that happen? And I remember specifically I remember specifically saying, open the doors and help me to be brave enough to walk through the door and hold my hand and do not let me go. And I'll be dog if that's, didn't what happened exactly the way that I had prayed it. So it was just wonderful.
Well, love that. So when you were, that's how you started. Now you do engross a script now, or do you mostly do Copperplate? Like,
I personally do Copperplate.
yeah,
I love Engrosser script. It's absolutely beautiful, and that's what started my love for calligraphy. But for me, when I try to write Engrosser script, I'm talking just me personally, I feel like it looks a little more rigid and a little more, I don't know how to describe it. It's a little too rigid for me. It's too
yeah.
like, and I feel like the copper plate for me, since I don't have as many pen lifts as what you do in Engrosser script, I feel like
Engrosser
it
script
looks a
is
little
crazy.
more
Like, I don't think I could
flowy.
ever do engrossers because
Well,
it takes a level of patience that I do not
it does.
currently.
It does take patience, but now I write so slowly when I write copperplate. I probably write just as slowly as when I do engrosser script. A lot of people write copperplate faster than me, but I don't know. I just don't like it. It doesn't look as good. So I really try to take my time and go slowly and try to get the letters, as good as I can possibly get them. When I first started, there was no social media. And
Yeah,
so anytime I addressed envelopes for brides, like the envelope, that was my form of advertisement because they
yeah.
didn't have Instagram or whatever to advertise myself. So I would go so slowly to try to make that like a sample that you would send a stationer and you want it to look extra good. I try to do them all that way because I had so many mothers of the bride to call me and say, I've kept all of the envelopes I've ever gotten for the past
Oh,
10 years, and yours is the one I wanted. So that was my only form of advertisement. So I do feel like that's probably why I go so slowly still to this day.
and do you still do a lot of weddings?
I do. I do. And I love it so much. I have a lot of my calligrapher friends that they think envelopes are boring, and I get it. It is kind of boring, and it's not, I guess it's not super challenging, but I love it when I can like put my favorite show on in the background or which my favorite show is probably a tennis tournament. So I have tennis on in the background. We are tennis freaks over here, tennis and football, both of those. And so I'll turn that on, I'll get my envelopes, and I can just kind of zone out. And it's just very zen for me and it's very therapeutic. And I do like things that are more challenging and things of that nature. But those envelopes, when I can just go, okay, I've got this, I know what I'm doing. It's not going to stretch my brain for the next 2 hours. I could just sit here and enjoy wholeheartedly what I'm doing. I love that. I do get how it's kind of boring for some people though, but for me, it's just great.
And when you like, and I think there's two different kinds of production, right? So there is that absolute creativity when you sit down, you're creating on the paper, which is a little more involved than I just said. But and then there's the creativity where it just entrains your brain and allows everything else to drift away. And you're still creating, but you're not inventing something new on the page.
Yes, you're not having to stretch your brain and think of a layout and, where am I going to put this and what script is this going to be in and try to conjure up the whole thing. It's not that at all. It's sort of mindless work a little bit, which
Yeah.
for a little
With
while
there's
is
nothing
fun.
wrong with that. Our brains cannot be on all of the time.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
This is like a little break for your brain, but you still get to write and produce something beautiful.
So this is maybe a trick question. How long did it take you to master calligraphy, do you think? Or get to a point where you like every time you looked at a page, you're like, oh, I like
Uh, uh-huh. Um,
that.
Well, I've been doing it this summer will be 33 years. Oh God. I'm going to say probably only 10 years ago, I really started feel super comfortable with my copper plate anyway, not all scripts, just copper plate. And like I would look at my work and go, okay, yes, I am good with that. and not pick it apart. That's another thing too with calligraphers.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a catch-22 because when I look at my work, I'm seeing what I could improve. And when I look at other people's work, I don't do that. Like I'll look at it and go, "Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful." And I just enjoy the beauty of it and appreciate the beauty of it. But I wish I could do that with my own work. I
Yeah.
feel like we're always our harshest critics, but I'm going to say maybe 10 years ago, I started feeling really comfortable with what I could produce and be proud of it.
Is there something you, not necessarily in Copperplate, but in calligraphy at all, that you still want to learn, that you're like, oh, I want to learn that?
Well, sort of yes and no. I know Spencerian, but I would like to get better at it.
Mm.
Which that's all on me. That's just practicing. I have all the tools, I have the books, I have the things that would help me get better, except I have to put in the time,
Yeah.
which, I guess is a little easier said than done. When you do this full time, you don't have big chunks of the day, or I guess I don't make chunks of the day to sit down and practice Spencerian like I should. Again, that's all on me. But if I could wave a magic wand, I would be really good at Spencerian and feel totally comfortable with it.
I at some point I'm going to learn some calligraphy. That is such a backwards way that I do. I feel like that's a trick question because So now let's start the demo and then we can talk as we go through it, because you're going to show us some copperplate in a little bit, 3 different styles, right?
Yes, yes. So what I thought I would do is I would write the word calligraphy in copperplate script and kind of take you through what my mind says when I form each letter. And then we're gonna break the rules a little bit and make it more casual and relax it a little bit. So it's kind of like a formal copperplate and then a casual copperplate. And then I thought I would end by fancying it up really, really a whole lot and add lots of beautiful flourishes to it.
Perfect.
I
Love it.
have not planned this out in my head. I love to flourish on the fly when I don't have anything pre-planned, and I don't know how I'm going to write it when I add the flourishes.
Excellent. I love
And
it.
sometimes it works great, and I'll point that out if I do like a portion of it. And if there's a portion I don't like about it, I point that out too. I always do that in my flourishing classes. And I think I learn more from my mistakes than I do when I do it, correct. So that's
Because
why I
we
don't
are
have anything
teaching, and by
pre-planned.
we I mean you are teaching copperplate flourishing at the Flourish Festival.
Yes.
So you're teaching copperplate and then copperplate flourishing.
Yes, yes. And I am so excited to do that. So we will take one of the classes will be your basic copperplate script, and we'll learn all the rules and all the things about it. And then we will learn how to add all of those beautiful flourishes to it, which those have a whole different set of rules. But it's not hard when you know the rules. It
Right?
looks trickier than it actually is. Once you break it down and understand what you're supposed to be doing, that's 90% of it. After that, it's just practicing. Okay, so what I want to do first is I'm going to write the word copperplate in a not copperplate, I'm going to write the word calligraphy in a very simple copperplate script with no flourishes. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you if I misspell something, we're just going to act like I didn't. It is so easy to misspell something when you're concentrating on the letters. So
Right.
when I am writing, and especially when I'm teaching, I don't say, like for the capital C, I don't say the letter C in my head. For the A, I don't say an A in my head. I'm going to continue on and speak out loud what I do say. And this is what I teach, how I teach it. Underturn, scoot up and over, add pressure, underturn, scoot up and over the top, add pressure, underturn, underturn, stop that exit, short, oval, descending loop, stop short of the baseline, long entry, pilot, underturn, stop short, oval, underturn, full pressure stroke. That's not typically the way I make my P's, but I did the most correct way. Double turn, scoot up and over for the ascending loop, double turn, straight up and over into another double turn, descending loop, stop short of the baseline, and exit. And then we'll go back and dot our I halfway in the middle of that first ascender space. right in line with the downstroke that we've made. So, and then once I write in simple copperplate, and this is how I teach it, I'll go back and sort of kind of critique it. And I always look up at the computer screen whenever I'm teaching online. I look up at the computer screen, not down at my paper, because I can see it a little bit more clearly. So the first thing I do is I look at the size of my loops. These look like they're the same size. This one's a hair shorter, not much. It's a little shorter, but if I was writing something for real, these guidelines wouldn't be on there. So it would not be noticed at all. This one also looks like it's exactly the same size as those two. So I like the 3 on the top. Now, looking at the 2 on the bottom, I think this one looks wider than this one. And also this one came all the way down and that one did not. I meant to stop that one short and I just didn't. I just forgot and brought it all the way down. Not a big, huge deal. And again, if these guidelines weren't on there, say if this was a final piece, you're not going to have your guidelines there. I don't think any of what I just pointed out would be noticeable at all. I think it would certainly look plenty good enough. The next thing I look at when I'm glancing up at the computer is spacing. So it looks like my underturns, it looks like these little counter spaces right through here are nice and even in space and size. This spacing is a little tighter than this spacing right here on the underturn of my A, but I'm good with that because in Copperplate, when we are doing, I call this stroke a reverse double turn. So here is a double turn. Here is a reverse double turn. I don't know that that's an official name for that, but it's what I call it. So the spacing on a reverse double turn is a little bit tighter than on a regular double turn. And this little area right here mimics the reverse double turn. So right here is that reverse double turn. So I sort of condensed my spacing just a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is calligraphy written in a simple copperplate. So now let's sort of make this a little more casual and relaxed. I always say a casual copperplate, I feel like, is just as important as a formal copperplate because say you're sending out like a little girl's birthday party invitation. You don't want a formal copperplate for that.
Yeah.
You want something that matches the event. Or if you're writing like a little poem for, I don't know, a little girl or whatever the case may be, sometimes formal copperplate doesn't fit the situation. So we're going to take this and we're going to relax it just a little bit. So maybe I'll do something like that on the C. I'm going to take my A and switch it up just a little bit. I'm going to take the entry of this L and have a swooping entry. I'm going to make this L a little bit shorter on purpose, just because we're sort of relaxing things. There's not a whole lot you can do with an I. I usually just do a regular copperplate I. The G, maybe we'll do something like that. Calligra, an R. I like to make a casual looking R more like that. And that's just me. And then maybe we could do something like that with the P. And then we've got all kind of room right here to really take the lead in on the H and make it super long because we've got a lot of negative space right there. And then how about we don't take this double turn all the way up to the waistline? That's something I'll do too. And I'm going to keep this side of the Y a little shorter. So I'm not going to take that all the way up to the waistline. Usually in a modern script or a more casual copperplate, I don't bounce the baseline. I will instead bounce the waistline. So I've bounced it right there and right there. In other words, you know how you'll see like a modern script that'll be like A, B, C, like see how that bounces way below the baseline? The look of that is completely great, but I prefer to keep the baseline right where it is and vary the heights at the waistline area. I just feel like it makes it a little bit easier to read, in my opinion.
I
But
think
of course,
it does look, it still looks very formal to me, but it does look a little more sassy.
yes, it's just a little bit more playful than the way, that it was written right there. Okay, so let's take the word calligraphy now and add some flourishes to it. Like I said, I don't have a clue what I'm going to do yet, but when I do go to flourish a word, I'll kind of in my mind look to see where some ascenders lie and descenders, and I'll kind of sort of have a plan a little bit in my head. And as I'm writing, when I'm doing flourishing, as I'm writing, I try to think about two letters ahead. And so by the time I get to that letter, I'll sort of know what I'm doing. So I can see by looking at the simple version of Copperplate, I've got some negative space right here. So I know I can do something fun with the tail of this C because I've got room to do it. I don't want to have too many flourishes, and calligraphy is already busy just written simply because of all the ascenders and descenders. Okay, so let's see here. What am I going to do? Like I said, if this is a fail, that's okay. We'll learn from it. Maybe something like that.
I don't think it looks like a fail to me.
Well, I don't know. It may not incorporate very well. I'm leaving off the entry stroke. I don't always put an entry stroke. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends on the capital letter and how it will mesh well. It would fit, but I've got so much going on right here. It's just not necessary. So I thought maybe if I left it off, it would be a little bit cleaner look. I don't know what I want to do with the L's yet. So I'm going to start with a point and I'll come back and finish those off later. I do that on the ascenders. On the descenders, I tend to make the flourish as I write it. And I wish I could give you a reason why. It's just the way I've always done it. Like I don't make a partial descender like I just did on the ascender. See? I'll explain in a minute why I chose that flourish. Got a little bit fat. Not too bad, but I've made it better. Again, I'm not going to finish off the H just yet. Okay, what to do with this Y? Now, there are 5,000 different things I could have done. I just chose that, but know that that's not the only thing we could have done. All right, I think maybe on this one, what can I do on this one? Maybe something like that.
Beautiful.
And then, let's see, take that one around like that, and maybe that one like that. Okay, so let's look at this for a minute. So whenever I am flourishing, this is what I like to do. And I do this whether it's one word or a whole sentence. If it's the whole sentence, I'm looking at the whole sentence. Like I'm looking for balance. So I'm looking at the whole entire sentence. But since we're just working with one word, I'm just going to look at just this one word right here. But I look at the top left, I look at the top right, I look at the bottom left and the bottom right, and then I look top middle and bottom middle. And I want those 6 places to balance. So top left, I've got a stroke up in here. So that's good. My number 2 spot, I've got a flourish over here. So those two balance each other. My 3 spot, I've got a flourish and I've got one on the 4 spot. This is the same flourish as this. It's just reversed. And I didn't try to match those two right there, but I'm not mad that I did match them, but it's not necessary to match those two at all. And then the 5 and the 6 spot don't matter quite as much because they're in the center of the word. If I had chosen not to do anything with the G and it left more negative space right here, I still think that would have looked okay because it's in the center of the word. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not going to throw off the balance because it's in the center. Like if I didn't do anything on that H, I would have a lot of negative space over here and I don't have negative space over here. So I feel like that would look sort of out of balance, but it's not quite so important on that 5 and 6 spot. So if this is a whole sentence, say if I wrote the word calligraphy is beautiful, my 1 and 3 would still be over here, but 2 and 4 would be over here at the end of this sentence. So everything just stretches out horizontally. But that's basically what I do on the flourishes. I like everything fairly okay. I like the C. I'm good with all of that. I put the G with the flourish going over toward the left because I knew I had another descender right here and then another one right here. And I don't want to do anything big and humongous with this G and bump into all of this. It's so busy already as it is. I just wanted something to go over to the left, something to go more straight down, and then something to go over to the right. So this one we've got going this way, this one this way, and this one this way. So that's going to give it a clean look. One thing I don't like, and it's just me being super picky, but that's what we're doing right now. So
What
I'm
we're
going to
doing.
be picky. I don't like that those two strokes are about to bump into each other. You know, in calligraphy, we sort of like for there to be some space in between, like right there's plenty of space, or cross through. So if I had taken this right here and looped it through, that might have been better. Or if I had started the P maybe a little bit higher and it crossed through. I think maybe visually I would have liked that a little bit better. But you know, it's pretty good. I like right here that I cut through the middle of that oval. I always try to do that if I can. Right here, I cut through the middle of those two strokes. I didn't quite hit the center, but it's pretty close. Those are the kind of things I look for. Say right here, I try to have my inner loop with even spacing all the way around through there, sort of forms a donut. Same thing over here. So I'm pretty good with all of that spacing. It looks fairly good. But that's the kind of thing that we'll work on in the flourishing class. We will dissect everything that we write, just like we put it under a magnifying glass, and talk about all the things that work, talk about all the things that don't work. And I personally learn more from the things that don't work. But it's a super fun class. And so is the Copperplate. You know, you need to learn this before you learn this.
Right.
Because if
Yeah.
you go to start putting all of these flourishes on letters that aren't sound and that aren't made correctly, it is going to get so busy and so just muddled and muddied up that it's not going to be pretty and it's not going to be legible. And nobody wants that. You know, if you
Nobody
can't
wants
read
that.
it, it doesn't matter if you have beautiful flourishes or not, because you can't read what it says. You always want to start with a good foundation with your letters first.
Awesome. That it's amazing how just a few quick changes really change the personality, doesn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
this is more what I feel like would be, you know, something business related or maybe a very formal wedding invitation. This absolutely is not going to be a super formal wedding invitation. And this might be, I don't know, I think this screams like black tie wedding. We're going to throw down all night long. You know, we want
Are gonna throw
all
it
the
down.
flourishes. So, yeah, it just depends on the look you're going for. And a lot of times, and I would say almost always, it's going to depend on what your client wants. You
Yes.
know, it's
Yeah.
their party. It's not my party or whatever the occasion is or whatever you're doing it for. It's theirs. It's not mine. And so they're the ones calling the shots on the style of everything. And I'm happy to do whatever they want me to do.
So how much of your work is wedding invitations still? Like compared to how
Um,
much you teach and do your own work and
I would say a lot of it is wedding work. I know some calligraphers that do a lot of, certificates or big, things that are going to be hung on the wall, big
yeah.
commissions like that, poems, all the things. Most of my stuff is wedding work. I'm either addressing envelopes or I am designing the invitation itself and all the pieces that go with it, like the
Yeah.
response card, and all that kind of stuff. Or a lot of times I will design a monogram, which most of the time
Oh,
that's for a wedding. I don't know that I've ever designed a monogram just because somebody wanted a monogram. It's normally to go with part of their wedding paper
yeah.
goods. So yeah, most of my stuff is wedding work, which to me I love because it's always a fun and happy occasion.
It
It's
is.
never something, I don't know, it's never sad, it's never too serious. It's always something fun coming up
Yeah.
and super
Yeah.
special on top of that.
Yeah, it really is. My son's getting married this year, and I sent my daughter-in-law a message this week, and I'm like, am I crazy enough? Like, I feel like I haven't hit, like, I feel like I'm not crazy about anything about this wedding. I'm just happy about it. Like, she's told me I'm okay, that she'll let me know if I need to up the crazy, for
Yeah,
whatever reason.
there you go. There you go. They will let you know.
But
Yes,
apparently now yeah, it's just so fun. And
it
she's
is.
so organized anyway. She's got it all under control. So it makes it really
Well, that,
fast.
that is good. And I have two daughters, only one is married, and we had a wedding planner, and she is a savior. I told her, I said, I don't know what made you want to go into this industry, because she would send me emails every day about things I needed to do and whatnot. And I was just one mother of the bride. You know, she had multiples. I could never keep up with it all. They are special people.
Yeah. I when my daughter got married, she got married in Portugal actually. And so everything was done by the venue, basically. Like there was nothing for us to do. There's no center places. You can't put them in your bag and bring them from Canada. The flowers were all growing at site. Like basically we showed up and partied for 2 days. It was fantastic.
Wow.
It's a
Like,
lot.
honestly.
Yeah. And inexpensive, to be honest. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
yeah.
amazing.
Weddings are fun. Weddings are fun. So
They
I
are.
want to ask one more question, then I'm gonna let you go. What's the worst piece of advice that you've ever heard somebody give about calligraphy?
Probably that you have to be good right away, and that or you're not good enough to do XYZ. Yes, you are. Yes,
Yeah.
you are. And that it's the, you know, this isn't perfect. It's not good enough. There is no room for wah and crying. Everybody starts somewhere. Don't compare yourself. That's, I guess, probably the worst one I've ever heard. Comparing yourself to somebody else. And we all do it. I mean, it's just human nature to see somebody's work and then go, well, mine doesn't
Oh,
look anything like that. I mean, that's human
yeah.
nature. But, you know, people, I'll teach a class and they're like, well, mine doesn't look anything like yours. But I always say, if you are new to calligraphy, say you are learning to play the piano or any instrument, you are not going to play like your teacher plays after one lesson or
Yeah.
after 100 lessons. Think about how long your teacher has played the piano to
And
get
even
as
if
good
you
as they
master
are.
it, you're gonna bring your own sound
Yeah.
to that piano.
Yes,
And
it's
so
the
you're
same thing. It's the same difference. So you've got to put in the time, you've got to put in the work and the patience, blood, sweat, and tears, but you will get there.
yeah. And so and this is my favorite question. Anything spectacular happened to you lately? Like just a good thing that's happened?
Okay, yes. And it was yesterday. I got an email, and I never ever ever take rush jobs. I just don't do it. I don't want the stress. I don't care if they're like, "We'll pay you double." I don't care. I don't care. It is not worth my stress to kill myself to do a rush job. I just don't like it. And I don't like the way it makes me feel. And so I say no 100% of the time. And so the title of this email was Rush Job. I'm surprised I even opened it up and read it. No, not really. But I'm like, I had already said no in my head before I even opened it up.
Yeah.
And it ended up being something for a major university. And the pay was spectacular. And I only had to write a handful of words for something that they needed to insert those words into for a proclamation. And I had time to do it. And it was literally only like 8 words. And I thought, you know, I can do that, no problem. And they wanted it done in a flourished copperplate, which is something I'm very comfortable with. It
Yeah.
wasn't anything outside of my wheelhouse. So I did say yes to that. So that was my happy for the week. I was very excited about that. So I guess
Oh,
now I can't say that I never take rush jobs, because I took this one yesterday.
there you go. Well, I'm glad that you did it. I'm glad it worked out. And I'm so excited to see. And you're going to stay the extra day, right? You're going to come and you're going to go to Banff with us while you're here.
I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead. I've got to buy my plane ticket. So I need to talk to my family about their schedule
Yeah.
that week and all the things and get that
Yeah.
nailed.
And hopefully there's a direct flight that goes from Atlanta to Calgary.
I would love for that to be the case. Yeah.
I know there used to be. I mean, things are a little bit whatever right now, but hopefully there's a, and if not, it's still not. You
That
might
would be nice. But if not, I'm still coming.
coming. Excellent. Well, thank you for that demo and talking to me and for coming to Calgary for my little party with, a few of my
Yeah.
closest friends.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited and honored to come, and I'm just looking so forward to it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, have a wonderful day.